what I'm asking for, but anyways, wow,
That was small.
that's not only small. I'm just thinking that you guys will be
Too much for the first day.
too much for the first day.
I think if a small, like a really basic program, like just
That is coming.
okay, it's coming.
All right, I will tell you a little bit about what it is.
You will send the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I will send the PowerPoint also. So there is something also in the part of which is part of operations. It's called algorithm. Algorithm is like how do you search? So it's called search algorithm. How do you add? It's called insert algorithm. How do you sort things? Like sorting algorithm and things like that. So it's very, very common in programming. And then you can read some of it and we can discuss more about it. But algorithm is like part of operations.
LN, right? LN, log.
No, log
Algorithm.
is a part of one type of algorithm. But this is like so no, that is logarithm.
Log.
That is logarithm. This is algorithm, right? So algorithm is like how you achieve something, the process of getting something done. And there, even to do one thing, there are so many different kind of algorithms.
I think small example of that would be when you put something in Google, like a name, and it automatically. The funny thing these days is when you put the name, or if you write idiot in Google, it automatically brings Donald Trump's photos. So it is.
I think the memories is gonna pick that up.
So it actually runs on an algorithm, which because a lot of people have mentioned him as an idiot on many photos in the world, so it actually runs an algorithm, and it pops up his picture,
Right.
and he doesn't like it. So this is how algorithm works.
Right. So algorithm is like to achieve something. What is the process you are doing? Okay. Now there is another thing. Again, this is for mainly just to understand it. Is programming paradigm. There are mainly three. It says three types, but I don't want to go into imperative type. So there are mainly two types of programming languages. One is called functional. One is called object oriented. At the end, the machine language that they produce would be the same. The processor remains same. There is no processor which is object oriented, and there is no processor which is functional. It is how we see it as a language, how we program it. So that's why it is called programming paradigm, how you program it. So functional is where we think of what functions we need to do, then we write those functions, we combine those functions, and it becomes a program, right? Object-oriented is when we think of the data that we will need for this program. Then we think of the operations we will need to do on that data. Then we combine all of that, and it becomes an object-oriented. Of course, you can read it a little bit more. You can Google it and read other things. Java is a very close to very pure object-oriented language. But we will use it as a functional language here for this course. Because it can be functional or object-oriented. Most of the object-oriented language can work as a functional language. So we will use Java, and functional is easier to understand and less concept. So we will use Java to begin with for this course as a functional language, so that we understand what it does, how it does, and things like that, and some basic syntax and basic programming concepts. The basic programming concepts that we want to learn today, in this course, are same for object-oriented or functional. It's the higher level concepts that are there for object-oriented. So, what is Java? What are good things about Java? Brother Malik Khan will give some more interesting stuff about Java, higher level. But Java is a modern language. Java is a higher level language. What does modern language mean? Modern language means it has support for a lot of new things. Like C language does not have a built-in support, say for example, a lot of new things like web or cloud or this or that, right? Java has a lot of built-in support now for a lot of the new concept that we talked about. So that's why it's called modern language. It is high level, which means that we don't have to go down and see what is exactly the command that we are giving to processor. It's a higher level. We'll have to give some commands which will be translated into hundreds of processor commands. It's object-oriented programming language, which supports functional programming also. And then it is simple, platform independent. We can talk about it, but it's again too much boring stuff. And designed for the use on internet, based on virtual machine. We'll talk about it later. It is safe. We'll talk about it later. So Java is a good language to learn. What the whole point of this is, Java is a good language to learn. We are using it to understand programming, but if you want to continue using it, then it's a very good language. It's the most used language in the world right now, and the most jobs are in Java. But anyways.
That was my question.
Right.
After this 8 weeks session, I will be able to find a job with what we learn.
So again, it just depends, because job and interview and the whole thing is a whole another thing, right? It can be a requirement, and what is the requirement, what you want to do. After 8 weeks, you will not be able to say yourself, because Java has some few layers. So one of the things that a lot of people that use Java today with is framework. People use something called framework to create a lot of applications. We are not getting into that. We are just getting into programming, basic programming stuff. Now, if you go for a very junior level programmer, where they will give you some time to learn, then yes, this will give you the basis for it. If you want to learn more about Java, of course you need to learn what you will learn here anyways. If you want to learn any programming language, then you need to learn the concept that we will talk about here. So this is the foundation, definitely. How much far it takes you? Yeah, it's not too much. Yes, go ahead.
So just to add to it, this 8 weeks can at least give you a help desk role, because in a help desk role, I'm not sure about the US. You pick up a phone call and it's more about my passwords are not being reset, basic questions. But if you know about what a computer is, what network is, what LAN is, and what Java is, all the 8 weeks, I think that would be sufficient for any level 1.
Level 1, even for programming, for basic programming. A lot of bigger organizations, they want to hire junior programmers so that they can learn and understand. Because even if they hire a senior programmer, there is always a learning curve. A person who comes in, even he is a senior programmer somewhere else, or she is a senior programmer somewhere else, they come into a new organization, new job. It takes anywhere from a month to 3 months for that person to get up to speed. So for that reason, a lot of times they want junior engineers to come in, maybe take more time because they are not being paid as much, but take more time, but then learn a little bit and then get a better understanding and things like that. So I would still not say that this course is sufficient for that, but I will just say that it is definitely a prerequisite, definitely a beginning for that.
But by the way, if half an hour every day for 8 weeks,
Right.
you
Yes, this is a good point.
Definitely get a.
If you work,
half
I
an
would
hour.
say not half an hour, I would say 2 hours.
A day?
a day.
No,
No,
The
for-
day to like review the.
Right. No, and do your own programming.
program, yeah.
Every day
Practicing.
you do practicing, you do your own programming for 2 hours. Programming takes time. Programming is time, means most of the good programmers, you go out and you meet them, they are not social people.
It's like a language.
Their social skills have all gone, because that's what they do, they program. And then this computer, it looks very smart, but for them, it is very dumb. So, because they are working with the guts of it. And to work with the guts of it, you have to spend a lot of time learning and doing and learning and doing. And we'll go through a little bit of some of that concept. Not in a,
It's like a language. If you
Right,
never
right.
spoke it before,
Mhm.
someone can teach you, but until you can speak it with someone all the time, you're not gonna be able to communicate in that language. That's how this will be. You'll know a little bit, maybe you can ask for some things, but you won't know how to fully immerse yourself until you practice.
Right.
So every day, inshallah, 2 hours. Maybe after 8 weeks we'll be okay.
So if I wanna like take a classes or courses in CP or something like that, like SQL, as I guess that's one of the programming. So would this gonna be, help me to, to start, I guess, before taking any other classes?
Definitely. So one of the things, so what happens is, like the computer and the programming has a lot of different parts in it these days. Like Java is one part, but using Java you can unlock other parts. For example, SQL, right? SQL itself is a good thing to learn. It has its own uses a lot of places, but if you add this with a programming language, then you become a senior programmer, because you can become a database, somebody who can write a program which can automatically go to database, maybe add, update, do this and that, and then get you results or something, right? So these things all together make you more skilled and stuff. So a person who just knows SQL has its value, but a person who knows Java plus SQL is like a good program, right? Some of those things we can even by the end of 8 weeks, if you guys are interested, if you guys are into it, we can have some of those examples. Like after 8 weeks, I don't have to stop there. We can have another week where we have some project. If you want to do some web something, send a request to a web, get the result, parse it, or do something. If you want to do something with SQL, if you want to do something with, say, HBase, which is a new SQL, new kind of database, or anything using Java, we can write some of that program, even with our basic skills, just to understand how it all works. So let's start with programming, right? We already said have started discussing programming. Although we have not done any programming yet, but we have started discussing concepts of programming, that if you'll do programming, you'll always use operations, objects, data. One of that most important thing is syntax. When you are writing a program, you have to make sure that you write it in the right syntax. Syntax is like English language, right? How you say it, it has grammar, just like English language has grammar. Of course, not the same, but it has a grammar, it has a syntax. You can only say certain words in English, right? What I say in Urdu, a word in my language, is not the same word in English. So English has a set of words in dictionary. Same with Java. Java has a set of words. In English, you say one word, then you put another word, then you put another word, and it becomes a sentence that people can understand. Same with Java. You use one Java word, then another Java word, then some other special characters, and then Java would understand. If you mingle it or mangle it, then Java would not understand. And what Java will say? Syntax error. So you will see a lot of syntax errors when we will start working on it. You'll see a lot of syntax errors. But the main idea, I'm just giving some basic ideas. Special characters. There are some special words that Java uses. Some special characters like brackets, squiggly brackets, straight brackets. Java is case sensitive. If I write for with uppercase F, it's different than if I write for with lowercase f. And then once you write a Java program, you put it in a text file. And the text file, and we'll go through it, don't worry. And a text file should have a name something.java, like majid.java. So a Java file has to be named something.java. So some example of syntax. Of course, I'm not going into much details, just giving you some very, very basic things. So now we have come to the first Java program. So who has the Eclipse running? Show me by hand. 1, 2. Almost. We'll see. Otherwise,
Still for the general, still on there. I don't know why.
My JDK is still not.
so
working.
your JDoodle works.
No, I didn't use the JDoodle.
But
because
try-
I said, oh,
Try. So because JDK we will look into it a little bit later, because we don't have to really rush on that. But JDoodle is important. Uh-oh.
So where's the go to JDoodle?
So just write jdoodle.com.
Okay.
And then you see a big list and there's a Java in
First class or something?
up there. You just click on Java. So
It's fine.
That's the connection of the computer.
no, I think it is that it is missing some extension or something.
Right click on it.
माजिद भाई
Yes, sir.
आप यहाँ JDoodle चलाए ना
यहाँ पर
इनके कंप्यूटर
नहीं चल रहा इंटरनेट एक्सेस
internet is there,
या
but I think because it could be an older browser or might be missing some extension.
I haven't used it for like a year
Right.
now.
Might be some extension required. तो कुछ टाइम लगेगा तो मैंने कहा आपको देखने लगा हूँ.
It's not working either.
It's not working either. Oh.
But the internet is slow down here.
No, but JDoodle work.
Yours is fine. All the others are like.
So can you go to jdoodle.com
Yeah, I can.
and can you
Yeah.
see everything?
I can go to the JDoodle, but since I click on Java,
Mhm.
it was just not working.
It is doing what?
Now-
No, it is, I think it's slow. When this is showing that.
Yeah, this is the same thing too, because when I
You
start.
can use your phone as a hotspot,
Yeah.
It's a good,
kind of a service. It's better than the Wi-Fi.
I think it's the Wi-Fi issue.
Wi-Fi
could
is
be.
slow.
Yeah. Because JDoodle is taking some time to load that. So.
You know, it's this.
So we're not gonna use Eclipse.
no, we can. If you have Eclipse running,
So I
then
have
you
it.
can simply use Eclipse, yeah.
I have it now, right? Did that.
Yeah.
This is the workspace.
These are, right, you'll have to, yeah, so with Eclipse, you'll have to go through the whole new project and everything.
Yeah, I went in new, created a new Java project. Why don't
Right.
you just do a new project?
Right, Java.
Java.
Okay.
Java project. Okay.
Here's the name.
Click that. Finish. So I created that folder
Okay.
there.
Just double click.
Double click it.
And then within the project, you have to create a new, source. Yeah, within the source, you have to create a new file. Right click, and then new, go down and say class.
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 Here.
Alright.
It's you? Oh, what do you do?
So just open it in Chrome,
Oh,
not in
Chrome, not in, okay.
Or probably
it wasn't-
open from Chrome probably.
In
Yeah.
Provi, that name.
Just,
And then
open it.
click on
Safari
Java,
or
right?
Chrome. Just try it in Chrome. jdoodle.com.
All right, here you go. So you are good with Eclipse, but we'll have to see how it runs. You are good with Eclipse.
I think it's internet.
You are good with JDoodle.
I will try
You are
it.
good with JDoodle?
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things is in these cases, if you have WhatsApp running on your laptop, then if I put anything on the WhatsApp, you can cut and paste into this. But we'll also try to use some other tools that are very helpful sometimes in sharing the code. But what we want to do is we want to write a very basic. I will make it a little bit bigger. So for whatever time we have, we'll just go through this. Let me see what else I have for this. Yes, so we'll just go through this for the time being. I will not go through this, or there are some other interesting stuff again for discussion, so we'll keep it for the next time. Right, so what we want to do is this part, we want to run this program. How you guys can
Is Java.lang, is it calling that? Is that a package that is calling or?
So.
right, it's importing java.lang and all the sub packages in it.
Are you trying to install the JDK?
So for example, let me go through, let me go do it through JDoodle to
Okay,
begin
so
with.
after that one, accept
Um,
license agreement.
Exactly, and then you set up front. You already have the other one, so.
Right.
Now, since the JDoodle is more than enough, these classes, but if you really wanted to know more about Java, I think then Eclipse could help out.
So after putting Java, should I go ahead and put like the same thing you put in now?
Right. But we'll do, so yeah, so you have to do what I'm trying to do here, which is that take out those lines for those who are working on JDoodle. Or for the time being, you can also go to JDoodle, just so that we are sane for today, and we can go through, because there are some steps for Eclipse that are after this, but I'm not going through that today, so we can forget about Eclipse for today and go through JDoodle to see if it would work for us. So if you have JDoodle and you are on this screen, then all you have to do is take out those 3 lines. In this place where I am writing something, you write whatever you want to write, but in this case you can write ICC Tech Series Intro to Programming class. All right. So, and this is our first program. So, did you guys make that change? You good? Can you do it for in Eclipse also?
I did an Eclipse.
You did an Eclipse?
Yeah.
So can you run it?
Yeah, it's fine.
It runs fine? Cool.
Internet connections.
Is internet connection now really short?
Oh.
Slow internet. But you guys can watch it. I would say it's, and then maybe
maybe at home you can do that. All right, so what we'll do is we'll execute it. So it shows that it's executing, and then what you saw in down here is what is the output. So if I ran it in, so we will go through that, all of that, but this is our input, this is our program, and this is our output. Sister, were you able to do that?
Yeah, I'm doing this.
You are doing this.
Uh-huh.
Islam, what about you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, nice. Jadudul? That's good. So what I wanted to, so this is our program. Let me make it smaller. Let me make this big to see what did I try to say. So Jadudul works a little bit differently. If we use this program a little bit different in, say, Eclipse, we'll have to put first an import. We'll have to put an import instruction which imports some library. We'll talk about those concepts as we go, but this is part of the syntax. This is part of how you write a Java program, which is that to use any built-in libraries, built-in software, you have to import it. So in Java, everything is class-based. We'll not use most of this, but just for the sake of our first program, we gave it a name, which is my class, and then we have to have one function which is called main. So every Java program, or for that matter, every C program or every some other language program, must have one function which is called main. And that is the first function that is called by the application, right? So what happens is when an application starts, it has to start somewhere, right? So main is the gateway, like the door where it starts from. And then after main, it starts, whatever you give the instruction, it starts executing the instruction. So for today, of course, we are not learning a whole lot here, but today what we are learning here is if you have to write any small program, this is your main, your basic skeleton. That you have to have a class, then you have to have a main function exactly like this. So first two lines must be like this, and then whatever instructions we want to give.
By the way, what is this my class? Is this a library, as you said?
No, this is any class name. I can name it first test, and it doesn't matter because it's just a name.
And what about public class? Can you change that or not?
So public is a type, means a certain type of a class. Public means that it is visible to everybody. It is visible to, it is visible. Class syntax, you always have to have a class name, class. After class, you have to name the class,
Anything.
whatever you name it.
So everything in pink means that you can't change, and everything in black you can change.
So, of course, you change. So, say for example, if I say class SC, right, and do an execute, it will give me an error. It will give you an error. Why? Because to run it, a program has to know a few things to begin with. First thing in Java, this is Java again, not basic programming, but this is Java, is that there has to be one class, one public class, that otherwise the program does not know where to start, what is the class name. So that's one thing. The other thing, and then uppercase C and lowercase c are not the same. Only lowercase c class is the syntax of the Java, which means that you have to write one public class and any class name. Now third class name, just like you said, that you cannot change that, so this is like fixed, right? This name could be anything. But if you're using a bigger program that is referencing each other, then whatever name you use here, you might have to use somewhere else. So those names sometimes have to match. But it could be any name. Now for the second line, again, it has to be public. It has to be static. Static is again a type. And then it has to be void because it's a main. And then you have to put a main. A main has to have these things within the bracket. And then you have to start with a squiggly bracket. We'll go through all of it, how we do the programming, but with the first program, what I wanted to tell you is kind of two things again. Number one, to run a very basic program, this is a template. You have, other than this line, you have to have these 4 lines. First 2 lines and then 2 ending squiggly brackets, right? Then within this, between this, like within here, you can have any instructions. So this is our template for a basic program. What we are doing in this basic program? What we're doing is we are doing a print line. A print line is an instruction to print whatever we have within this bracket. And then once we execute it, it prints whatever we have within this bracket. You can see it down here, right? So what if you have to print 2 lines?